Paul, better known as Spider, on social media, author of Havoc and now Havoc Pro. Paul, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me here.
So I'm going to ask you about your history, but real quick, I just wanted to kind of touch on for everybody, just real quick, what you've done and what caught my attention and a lot of people's attention about what you've done. So I believe you released Havoc originally when you were 17. Is that accurate? I know you were working on it when you were like a teenager. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I think I released Havoc on GitHub on like the 28th of September or something like that, which was like a few weeks after my 18th birthday. So
okay.
Yeah, it's just like right after getting freshly 18, I suppose. But yeah, like I have been working on it quite some time longer. I would say, yeah. I think like since October 2020 or something like that. So it has been a while.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this right away because, I mean, I find this fascinating. This is like not many people can do this. Not many people do ever do this in terms of publishing a high quality command and control. And to do it when you did, I was very surprised. And I was working at CrowdStrike on their red team at the time, and I got it set up the first day right when it dropped. I did. I started running it in our lab immediately, and I was like, guys, I'm going to use this on my next op. And I mean, that's wild. Like, that's legendary stuff. I don't want to embarrass you too much here, but seriously, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Like, I was a principal at CrowdStrike red team at the time, and I was loading it up the day it dropped, and you're 18 years old. Pretty amazing stuff. So I just wanted to give people kind of a recap of like what you did that really kind of was amazing. I think was amazing, and one of the reasons that I really wanted to get you here. So congratulations on the success, and I'm really interested to talk not just about Havoc, but Havoc Pro as well, and how you took that project to a professional state. So really cool stuff. But first, I do want to dive into your history. So you were working on a C2 when you were probably 16, something like this, right? And again, I mean, it's like it's one thing to become interested in something like that when you're that young, but you clearly figured out that this was for you, that this is something that you wanted to really focus on. What was it? First of all, how did you even get involved in something like this? How did you become interested in it? And then, what made it for you like a thing you decided to focus on like that at that age?
So yeah, that's a good question. Oh God, it happened such a long time ago. Let me actually think back. I think like originally started I first started doing this like web hacking thing, like when I originally got introduced into like InfoSec, started doing that. But then I was like, okay, this is not for me. Like I can't stand like looking at JavaScript or like HTML or like looking for issues there. So, but I was like really curious, like also about malware reversing, like analysis as well. And a lot of stuff I've done was like reversing and also Linux malware analysis. So it went like in this direction, basically. Okay, hey, malware is kind of really cool and like interesting to see, especially like Mirai botnet is something I really like found so cool. So I went into like this kind of like direction, malware and stuff like that. And at the same time, I also I remember I was fascinated by Metasploit and also Armitage. So I think like Armitage was one of those things that really got me like wow, this is this is fucking awesome. And it's like this UI and like interacting with these. I can see like a session popping up, and yeah, this was like my like real interaction. Okay, hey, this is really cool. And then I saw like the author of Armitage releasing like doing like something like Cold Strike, like really I just got like aware of Cold Strike, and I was like, damn, the same guy like did something like professional like Armitage. Let me take a look. So then I was like looking at Cold Strike, and I was like, damn, this is even better. So yeah, so like I was like, oh wow, this is even better. This is even cooler. So I took a look at I got my hands on Cobalt Strike, something like that, and I was playing around with it. And I remember like I saw Raphael March's Red Team Operator like course on YouTube. I was watching that like religiously, like keep on repeating it, like repeating and rewatching it, and kind of like redo what he did there. So I always like and I was kind of like just like looking how it's working, and I was really fascinated by Cobalt Strike itself, like one of like my favorite like I would say tools I've ever used. So and after that, I remember, okay, I was thinking to myself, you know what? Like, what if I do my own Cobalt Strike? And I was like, okay, first of all, I just like did like a CLI version of like a very like CLI like kind of like malware, where it's just like kind of like a reverse shell, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it kept like evolving from like okay, I update this code, I'll update that. And it kept like evolving, and then at the point I was like, okay, you know what if like I do like a user interface, let me see like what can I do. So yeah, that's like how it kind of like I kept on going like this route, like hey, what can I do, like can I do this as well, like can I replicate this as well from Cobalt Strike. Like I always like use Cobalt Strike as a reference to like hey, can I do this as well. So yeah, like and I think I did this for like 1.5 years or something like that. I kept on use like writing on now at this point it was called Havoc, and I kept it to myself because I was like rather shy about it. And I thought to myself, this is so unimpressive. And
you know, I think it's amazing for people to hear that, to hear you say that. I really like. I don't just want to interrupt you here to say like a lot of people will be amazed to hear you say that, and it's going to affect them, because I think it's just more proof that like everybody in this game feels that way at some point or at different points, saying, yeah, oh, this is really unimpressive. I don't want to show it to anybody. I'm kind of shy about this thing that I'm working on. You know, I mean, to hear that from you and to see the success of Havoc now, and it just, I wasn't sure, like talking to you, I even thought about like, I wonder how, you know, did he just know he was really good at this like early on, or did he feel that way? So I appreciate you saying that. That's amazing. I just wanted to point it out as like a reminder. Everybody gets like imposter syndrome or feels that way, I think, about sharing stuff that they're working on. And I always encourage people to share stuff that they're working on, because I think like the way that we think about it ourselves in our heads, we're much harder on ourselves generally than other people are.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was, like I mentioned before, I used to be like a very, very shy person. So I was like always like kind of afraid like interacting with other like infosec people. So I never like interacted with anyone. So I just kind of like lurked around and like just read what other people like did and like wrote about and stuff like that. And I remember one time I was following like Bobby Cook from like IBM.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
From this guy, I learned so much. Like I enabled like notification on this guy, because it was like when he drops, I want to see what he did.
Yeah.
Like, because he kept on like posting like projects and in C, and was like, damn, like let me read through it.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his as well. And
yeah,
I followed him the same way for years. Yeah, Bobby's awesome.
Yeah, Bobby's was like is genuinely like one of like the most influential people I have met. Um, I remember like I once only ever posted to comment on his like one of like his tweets, and it was like I think like kind of saying like, oh yeah, this work is great and stuff like that, and we kept on like talking. I was like, yeah, I'm working on a small project called Havoc, and I post like the screenshot, and then he messaged me like in private, and was like, oh dude, like how you did that, like I saw like this feature, how you do that. Like I think like back then it was like big object file execution, and I think around that time it was rather um I think unknown how like Kobostrike did it, like
Yeah.
not many people knew how to do it. And I think TrustedSec a few weeks prior released a project called like cough loader or something like that.
Yeah.
And I recognized this instantly. I was like, oh, this is like exactly how Kobostrike does it. Let me implement it in my own framework. So I kept like talking with Bobby about it. I shared him like this project, like they did this like as well. Like you can just like take this and learn from it. So yeah, and I remember like then he was like, well, I kept talking with him, and he was like dude, you gotta like post on Twitter about this. People are gonna love it. And I was like, I'm not sure, like I'm not. I was like really hesitant. I was like, I don't think so. So it was like it was like really like it was like, yeah, just post about anything, like just whatever like you're doing, like just post like progress and stuff like he kept like pushing me like doing like do this like. And I think like if he wouldn't have done this, I would have like never gotten this far, honestly. So like a lot of like I would say like success is just thanks to this one like interaction I had with him. He's like so nice, and I remember like I said, like he's super influential to me. He took so much of his own time to like kind of push me, and also like whenever I needed help, he replied to me. And like I remember once we were like on a Discord call, and he showed me how to use like XC full debug, how to debug like your own code, how to like write your own reflective loader and stuff like that for Kobostrike. And
wow,
yeah,
I had
like,
no idea that he was so that you had interacted with him so much. He was such an influence on you. This is funny to me because I started following you and him around the same time. I think in like 2020-ish, around there, maybe 2021. Mm-hmm. I started following both of you guys. I was like really interested in X-Force Red, where Bobby was at IBM X-Force Red, and I saw his projects. I started following him. I started following you. I saw you were posting about Havoc. So I probably found you right after you start interacting with Bobby. Mm-hmm. Because I found your stuff before it was out, and I was like, when you would post screenshots, I would check it out. But that's fascinating. I had no idea that that he had been such an influence toward you and Havoc eventually being released. Yeah. How did you feel about like, because you like blew up in terms of like InfoSec? I mean, we're a smaller community on social media, but you kind of blew up. I think before you ever released Havoc, actually, you had a lot of followers. A lot of people were asking about Havoc, asking about your progress. Yeah. Like, so how'd you feel about like watching that happen, where you're just like working on this thing on your own, you're talking to Bobby and still just kind of trying to work on your tool, and then it starts blowing up?
It was interesting to say the least, I would say. At first it was like I was excited. I was like, oh wow, so many people like what I'm doing. So I kept like posting, but I also felt like kind of this anxiety starting to rise. I was like, hey, like it's getting like I remember like going to like 10,000 followers. So like, hey, you know what? I would prefer it if it's just like stayed on like 3,000 followers, kind of niche, But it kept like growing. Was like, okay, like I think the unfortunate part about this was like I was dragged into a lot of like drama. So this was something this really stressed me out. So I was really like kind of avoiding a lot of stuff. But I genuinely just want to like kind of make new friends and interact with people, and just kind of like interact with like FinFusic people, talk about like MAU development, and also what they're working on, what I'm working on, and just kind of exchange ideas. And I was like fortunate, I was fortunate enough to like meet a lot of great people in this space. Like I'm genuinely so happy I've met them. So I have like this small group of friends I'm really close to and like really like enjoy interacting with. And they also have like helped me like so much regarding whenever I had like any kind of questions or needed help. So, but yeah, like going back to it, like I would say I was happy that a lot of people were like interested in the project, but also I felt like a kind of pressure where like, okay, hey, these people expect a lot from me.
Yeah, now there's an
And
expectation.
yeah, this like expectation, like oh, this is rivaling like Cold Strike now. I was like, no, I don't think it is. And yeah, I think
it does now. I think it does now. I was looking at I was actually looking at your site the other day. What it's excuse me, it's Infinity.
Yeah, infinitycurve.org.
Okay, Infinity Curve.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Infinity Curve.
Okay, so and I'll drop that in like comments or descriptions. But I was looking at it the other day, and I love the matrix you had of like features and comparing between the different tools, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the stuff that you have in there is you know not in some of the older frameworks and is very cutting edge, and you know I've been like trying to figure out some of the stuff you've been talking about in channels about like VM execution and things this. And working on it on my own and really enjoying it. But I love that matrix you have of the breakdown, because I feel like your tool, and I'm pretty sure I saw this. I'm pretty sure I saw Raphael Mudge comment to this effect on social media about your framework pushing to do new things and not rehashing the same old things. So I thought that was really cool. And I do think that your tool at this point, I mean, I think it's in there with the best commercially available C2 frameworks. And it seems like it has features that some of the other ones, including Cobalt Strike, maybe does not at this time.
Oh yeah.
So
like when you mentioned with Raphael Mudge, like when he shared like my blog post, I was like, oh my god, like I didn't even like knew he knew. I didn't like knew if he knew I existed. You know, I was man. I was like, oh, he knows who I am. This is amazing. So I was
I
like,
bet
really
that was
happy
cool since it was such an inspiration. You talked about Armitage and Cobalt Strike, and so it had to be pretty cool.
I was like, oh my god, like now he knows like who I am, and like I took a insane amount of like inspiration from his work and also like his philosophy, especially his philosophy. I couldn't agree more with like his philosophy, where a framework should like not have like everything bundled into like in a single like I would say implant or like feature. I'm not sure, but just make it like as malleable as possible to like allow operators to utilize this in their context. But I try to kind of went a step forward where, okay, I want to make it malleable, but also out of the box usable, where with like Cobalt Strike Duo, like its size, it's like extremely malleable, but it's very like it's number one target against like every single like security provider.
Too much success.
Exactly. like suffering from his own success.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like mentioned, like Cobalt Strike was like one of like most inspiration I have taken, especially like the user interface and also like the philosophy, and I couldn't agree more. So I was happy to see like him also kind of giving me like a shout out to Havoc Pro.
Yeah, well, and I'm pretty sure I saw, I wish I could remember the comment verbatim, but the one I saw recently that I think was an older comment, but I was just looking stuff up, was saying how he appreciated how your work and your framework was actually doing new things to advance tradecraft. instead of just redoing the same things, which implies that that's what some other frameworks are doing. Obviously they are, like, but I mean, just, so I thought that was really cool, because I've noticed that just from the stuff that I've seen you talk about, either stuff you put out, like you put out some stuff actually about your VM execution engine on GitHub, and I think you put out a post about it a little while back, and I like that you still do that, and you put out some information.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, like I just want to mention, like I still enjoy like sharing a lot of like stuff, and I remember the comment with like Rafael March, where like after he shared like the blog post of mine, he also agreed regarding the points that a lot of vendors, a lot of like C2 vendors, they kind of have band-aid fixes. They don't like have architectural like fixes which others suffer from, so especially like Cobalt Strike, where it's basically kind of like suffering from like the architectural issues from decades ago. And I think like the Cobalt Strike team right now does an amazing job trying to fix this. But again, like all of these vendors, they kind of go the same route. They try to pack as many features into like the framework, choose the same techniques such as like reflective loading, or like use it like reflective loading for the core implant, stuff like that. So I was thinking to myself, okay, hey, what can I do to not only stand out, but also kind of like fix these like issues, basically. For example, well, like
these
like
sort of like legacy dependency issues.
Exactly. Well, like all of these techniques, they work. They work, and also like they are very well documented to a point. Okay, hey, you can't really screw this up. But I was kind of chasing, okay, hey, I want to like push this forward, like, just kind of like redo what already has been done. So I choose like something that was at the time I was doing like not very done, I would say, like going with like a fully position independent like implant. I think the only other vendor that did that was 0xC2, but I haven't heard from him since like a while ago, so I'm not sure like if he's still going, but yeah, let's see. But around that time, like it was very like there was like this stigma with like position independent code that there's a lot of like limitations which like reflective loading didn't had, but it had like these pros that was fixing these issues that reflective loading had, such as like you had to like offload the actual implant into another memory region, and you have to do again module stomping or additional stuff just to get like an implant running, basically. And my goal was just to kind of like remove this bootstrapping, basically. And yeah,
the bootstrap became an issue too for detection surface. So I remember a lot of people would try to focus on identifying the bootstrap for Cobalt Strike implants. And then I was using in my like little hobby C2, which I had used on some real ops, and mostly because it was like not known. So it's not right. They're not focused on it. But one of the things that I was doing was using a bootstrap like reflective loader with the bootstrap from Donut. And eventually, like that worked great for a while, but eventually it got fingerprinted, and they're looking for that, right? And so now you're like, okay, well now I have to modify or replace my bootstrap, and like it's this whole thing where you're going to have to keep doing that, So it made sense to me that you went for full, position independent code, and that you don't need a reflective loader at all, right?
This is
so I like that evolution, but I think for a lot of people too, they find it probably difficult to learn how to write position independent compatible code, right?
Yeah. So I think like this was like a big issue where it was like under researched, basically. I had this conversation with other folks as well, where like position independent like shellcode like implant development was very like under researched, and also like very niche. Only a few people did it for let's say like donut, or like where you only write shellcode to load something else basically. And I
Right.
was thinking to myself, like, what you just write like shellcode to actually do this stuff basically. So, but it was like there weren't like many blog posts about that, like how to write like an implant in shellcode, like as shellcode, like position independent. So this is why I also then released like Stardust, because I kind of wish like
Right.
there was like this blog post like that. So, and I was
Yeah, I
also
forgot you
trying.
released Stardust.
Oh yeah, I was kind of like trying to fix these issues, like common issues that we are facing
Yeah.
at shellcode. For example, in a lot of cases during implant like running, you would need to access some sort of like global variable, which was very like needed whenever you, for example, specifically, I was required to do this when I was running a big object file, and I needed to get like this global state to get like, okay, hey, where to call back to, and also like the function pointers, stuff like that for Win32. So I had to like kind of get them from a global state, and just so be able to like call back via like beacon printf or whatsoever. So this was like one of those issues I had, and why I need like global access. So for example, and I also specified other like amongst other like things that like are good to have in a position independent like implant, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, I need to mess with that project more, because yeah, you're right. It's like there was not. I remember trying to research like how to write shellcode and how to develop a full shellcode or PIC implant, um, and it was not really documented at the time. It was like the best, all I could really find was like examples of how to write shellcode for like local injections, like
Mm-hmm.
self injection and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this is cool, but every single paper is the same on this topic.
Yeah,
They all just show
exactly.
this one really basic example. Where's the more advanced example? And it wasn't out there. So I thought that was really cool when you released that. Yeah, so you've kind of moved from, so you kind of fell in love naturally, it sounds like, with remote access tools,
Mm-hmm.
C2 frameworks, which was what I originally fell in love with like a long time ago. Was back then it was rats, right? Remote
Yeah.
access tools, Trojans, stuff like that. That was always my favorite, which is why, like, still I'm so interested in C2 frameworks, malware development. It's the reason, like, you and Bobby and some of the other people we know are my favorite people to follow, because I really just love this particular part of offensive security. But so I can understand that you just kind of naturally fell in love with the tooling and wanted to understand how it works. And then you kind of went from like wanting reverse engineering, wanting to understand how it works, wanting to re-implement a lot of the stuff that you saw,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then, hey, I want to put out my own framework maybe. And then you've moved into really research, right? Now you're the one doing the original research and publishing it out to the rest of us. um, and just kind of naturally, I guess, just kind of like what you were interested in kind of compelled you along this path. So really cool. And I guess this kind of, like, now that you're doing research, you're publishing new techniques and philosophies, ways of actually like setting up the architecture of your implant and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like this. I'm very interested to get your take then on AI, because a lot of people in offensive security are just now kind of trying to use it for research purposes. I mean, this has been in the news a lot. That's kind of a separate thing to talk about what that all means. But what I want to focus on is, do you see, first of all, are you using any AI for any of your side projects or anything else? Do you care about it generating code? But really, beyond that is like, if you are using it, like, do you see value in research capability, or not at this time?
So yeah, it's a good question. Like I mentioned, like there has been like this AI boom within the offset world, I would say. And currently, I'm not using much AI. I still kind of use just Claude 3, like just bare minimum, I would say. And I would only like kind of use it whenever I do some sort of like proof of concepting using in Python. For example, yesterday I was just like reversing some implant, and I needed it to kind of like reconstruct like the header because it kind of was removing it, and I needed to just like kind of reconstruct it. So I use a lot AI a lot whenever I just like kind of need this hacky solution. But whenever it comes to a kind of so when it comes to research, I think it's really good. Like I think it's really good, like spitting out some lead points, I would say, where like showing you like in the right direction or like giving like some points. But I'm not sure. I would say like I haven't jumped on the train yet, where I'm very hesitant to really use it or like be fully reliant on it. And also I don't want to use it too much because I still enjoy like this craftsmanship of what I'm doing. So one point I make. But regarding like I think like offensive security and like AI usage, I think I have seen like a lot of people doing some moderately like cool stuff with it. But I'm not sure like if you notice this as well. But whenever like someone publishes something, and you can tell like it's AI written or stuff like that, it kind of like this wow effect just kind of goes away. I was like, okay, this is interesting, you know. Like okay, I understand like the person behind this tool, they had the idea and they kind of like tasked like AI to fully like get this idea off their like head, which is like it's interesting to see those ideas. Quite honestly, there are some really cool ideas, but I would say like I value a lot of like this craftsmanship, and also like okay, hey, I got to this point and I figured this out by myself, and also put a lot of time and effort into this. And you can tell like in this code, for example, that they really took care of this code and like okay, this is something I did by myself. I'm not sure really how to kind of describe it, but
no, I kind of understand what you mean though, because like when you work on something like Havoc, and it's this large framework, and you're trying to constantly think about not creating future problems for yourself,
mm-hmm.
or solving problems you have now in a way that those are sustainable solutions. You're not having to redo this, and deal with this issue again. You end up with like the whole framework kind of in your head. And then when you're writing little pieces of code, you're taking a lot of care to kind of make sure that it aligns with the whole rest of this project and meets these requirements about the sort of philosophy of how you're building the project. And I don't think you can really, I mean, maybe we'll get there with AI, but right now that's not what's happening when you use AI, right? It's just not, it's a lot less clean. It's a lot less refined. And it just, I mean, it's a lot less clean is the best way I can put it. The code's not going to be as clean. It's not going to be as like, well made, like, I don't know how to put it either, I guess. Well thought out. It's like, that's kind of how I think what you were talking about.
Yeah. I was trying to kind of say like the AI code I've read so far, I can tell it's not really scalable. Like it fixes the problem now, but it doesn't scale well. It's really good for like proof of concepting. It's something I use a lot of like for proof of concept. For example, when I'm just trying to kind of get a feeling about something, I'm kind of proof of concepting with like AI and getting something like Frankenstein's monster of this idea. And after I get like, okay, I got a really good idea of like how this should work, and like, okay, I got a lead that this will work, then I will go into go do it myself basically, and do it like in a way where it kind of aligns with my structure, I would say, or write it in a way what kind of scales. But I think like AI, I will start using AI once it's like where I'm certain, okay, hey, it not only like respects the rules I'm making, but also like does not go off the rails, like then it implements something that okay, it looks good, but introduces something that I wasn't aware of, basically. So yeah, it's something like I'm kind of like hesitant to use AI in my project, like especially like in Havoc Professional. Is something I've done, like I have this like no AI rule, basically, where okay, hey, I'm kind of too scared to use AI on Havoc Professional, because what if the code that AI wrote breaks on a customer machine, and now I have to figure out what the AI did wrong and fix it for it and stuff like that. So it's like I'm just not feeling comfortable enough to use it for myself in this kind of setting. But it's really good for proof of concepting. Now I'm really curious to see like how what direction this goes, because for example, Adam recently released this blog post regarding analyzing EDRs and stuff like that on Spectre Ops. So this is something I think it's a real cool usage of AI and stuff like that. I think this is something that this is really proper use of AI, where you just kind of like automate it, and especially like yesterday was just doing a malware analysis on something, and I use AI for it. So I think those kind of things I feel more comfortable with, because the mistakes that the AI will make is not as
a big deal, really.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. It's not a big deal, but like in cases like offensive security, where a lot of times this code will run on like an environment, and you have to make sure like, okay, it will behave exactly how you expect it to behave, basically. So this is why I kind of value, okay, hey, I write this code myself. I know exactly how this code behaves. So yeah, for example, like whenever like a customer comes to me and says, hey, we've faced this issue, I know exactly, okay, hey, I think I know exactly where this issue might be, because I've written the code myself. I know exactly where this like issue might be. I go there, validate it, fix it, and they are happy then. So that was one of those things I'm kind of going for, basically.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really pragmatic approach to using AI, especially in your situation. You're pushing, production code that is going to be run on other people's systems, which could be scary. So, no, that makes sense. I really like that, and I like it also for the proof of concept stuff. Because then I can kind of test out an idea that I have more rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot, that's the number one thing I think it's done for me in offensive security, is before I would have like notes somewhere with this list of like things that I'd like to go test out, try, play with, like see if this idea I have is going to work like I think it will. But now I can kind of more rapidly check those, right? So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I am also curious about, because you put so much thought into how you're building, and I believe you wrote most of the original Havoc in C, right? Are you still predominantly working in C for all the different components of, like, say, a C2 framework, or are you using some different languages now for different components? How do you feel about? I guess I'll stop there for this part of the question. So, is it still all C, or are you using other stuff?
So right now, like the implement is mostly written like in C++, C, something like that. I believe like C and C++ really does their job well with not a lot of like constraint on me, and it I would say like it's still like written in full C++. The implements, especially each component is like written in C++ basically, but it's very like light C++. The only features I mainly use are like namespaces, compile time features, mostly for like hashing, stuff like that. So it's mostly C and C++ combined, and other components of the framework. They also, like, for example, this client is still in C++, but also have Python for like extendability and stuff like that. So a lot of like components are written in different languages where I believe it's the most suitable language use. Let's say, for example, backend Golang and stuff like that. And yeah, basically.
So, so then, I guess do you see advantages? Because here's what I'm trying to get to. You'll see people. There was a thing for a while where it was like everybody wanted to rewrite or write implants in these kind of more obscure languages, right? And I'll say, like, I like Rust, but my latest implants are written in C with a little bit of C++, like you said, mostly because I wanted to get back to C and kind of make sure I was staying proficient, but also I just wanted to work in it again. But I do like Rust, but then it's like people were like using Zig and Nim and like every language it's like, oh, I rewrote this implant in this. I've always struggled with what the advantages are there, because I always think about detection in terms primarily of behavior. And so I don't really care what language it's in. I care more about like the pattern of behavior of what it's doing, what Windows APIs it might be hitting, how it's calling those, and stuff like that. Where I never really got the advantage, what people saw as an advantage to writing in these other languages, other than maybe static detection. Am I missing something there? Is there more to? I mean, I guess some maybe, like, I think Rust is a little bit different, but I think mostly it's usually just a language change. And what do you think there? Am I missing something about the advantages of that?
So I think like I kind of agree with you, especially like regarding static detection is something I particularly don't take really seriously, especially static detection. And I had like conversation with other people about this, where they say I'm using language XYZ because it is using LLVM in the backend and it generates like these obscure binaries that Windows Defender doesn't detect. And I always think it's like you can achieve the same thing with like compiler passes and also compile time, like features from compilers or the language itself and stuff like that. You will be able to 100% like achieve the same thing without ever like switching like languages. And the only people you're really hurting are the real developers that use this language. For example, I think with Nim, this was the issue, where a lot of offensive people started using Nim. Yeah, it was Nim, I think. Yeah. And it got to a point where like Nim binaries that like did nothing.
Oh yeah,
we're getting like
we're getting flagged. Yeah,
they were
right.
getting flagged, and I think like I think even like the developers on their forum said like, please stop using Nim for like malware. And I felt like really bad about it. It was like now like there's some guy that worked on this language for years, and just for kind of kind of like offset people to kind of like take it and have it as a quick quick fix to like problem, and then second it's over, they kind of like throw it away, and the developer like suffers the consequences of it basically. So I was never really a fan of this kind of like procedure, and everyone always, whenever someone like mentioned this, I was like pointing like, hey, use LLVM pass, use like LLVM obfuscation, stuff like that. So
you can achieve the same thing and without leaving C. You can gain the 100%. Advantages of switching languages without switching languages.
Exactly. So
okay,
you whatever feature you see in another language, you theoretically can implement it yourself for your language as an compiler pass or feature. And a lot of like these, like for example, C is slowly going towards this like Rust route, where it's adding a lot of like like safety features and stuff like that that are like inherently like gotten from Rust. And I think like still like C and C++ are still king, because it's the most closest native way of like actually writing proper code. And if you it's scaling like very, very well. And it only makes sense to use like something like Rust. So I think Rust is the second best language, I would say, even like compared to like C++ as number one and Rust being number two. For example, Memnobs, a close friend of mine, he's incredible like with Rust. Like this guy,
he's really good.
Is insanely talented, like really talented. And he wrote like this user-defined reflective loader for Core Strike in Rust, where he changed all of these techniques from sleep obfuscation, stack spoofing, stuff like that. It's really impressive, and all in just in Rust. And the binary itself is also very, very small and stuff like that. So you can achieve these same features while also like for example with Rust, I think it makes sense if you value also memory safety, where like hey, you don't have like memory leakage. Well, in C++ and C or C++, it's very easy to get lost and lose track of your own memory, basically. So I can't really blame people to kind of choose Rust. I would say like if I would have started with Rust first before C, I would have also used Rust forever, basically. So
yeah, I basically like that the compiler for Rust and the borrow checker is like brutally strict on me. That's good for me, because I would probably mess those things up. I mean, I'm better about it now, I think, because I got used to dealing with it in Rust. So I kind of learned C a long time ago. When Rust came around, I was very interested in it. One of the people who I knew who was writing C2 frameworks for where I worked told me, hey, check out Rust. And I got really interested in it. I mostly just liked the syntax, and it made sense to my brain a little easier. But then I really fell in love with how brutal it was at compile time on me, and how it wouldn't let me get away with things or miss things that I could in C. And then now coming back to C primarily that I work in, having lived with that for years in Rust, how strict it was, it's like now I don't forget to do things to prevent like memory leakage and stuff. I'm like, oh, I gotta take care of this memory that I opened earlier. I gotta deal with this handle. It's like these little things that Rust would never allow me to get away with. I'm like used to that now. So I like that. But I'm working in C again, also because a lot of the documentation that I'm looking up and reading and referencing is in C for the operating system, or things that I'm researching, things I want to do. A lot of it's in C. So there's that as well. Now that might change somewhat. I've seen Microsoft say that they're going to write new stuff in Rust, and they're going to rewrite old stuff in Rust. We'll see. Like there's a lot of Windows code out there. So I don't think they're going to rewrite it all in Rust, but we'll see. I
think like they started recently like introducing like kernel components written in Rust. I think they I'm not sure anymore which one it was, but
I've seen some stuff.
I think they started to kind of like rewrite some of the kernel drivers in Rust for memory security and stuff like that, which
makes a lot of sense for kernel drivers.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a lot of sense for kernel drivers to kind of do this. You will kind of eliminate a lot of like bugs related to memory, where especially like in kernel, it's like horrendous, like if it's going to happen.
Yeah, memory leaks in the kernel can be a huge problem. So that makes a lot of sense. Also, shout out to Memnops. I've been following his work for years. I've read probably all of his code in Rust at one point or another, and a lot of it helped me and informed a lot of the tooling that I've put out in Rust. So shout out to Memnops. His work's awesome. So it's funny you brought him up. But yeah, okay. So C is still king, you think? So for people who are new, like you were years ago when you were talking about your story earlier, and you were just kind of getting interested in this stuff. And I know that you said I believe you said you were watching even the series that Raphael Mudge put out about how Cobalt Strike works and stuff like that. So for people who are kind of new now and they're interested in malware development, they're interested in Havoc and the work that you've done, is there anything you could recommend to them in terms of, how to get from how to learn about this stuff, how to get from where they are, where do they want to be? Because it's kind of, something that I think a lot of us stumbled through, and there was no real, hey, here's how you get to be someone who could write for Cobalt Strike or for Havoc or whatever, right? So do you have any recommendations for people that are interested?
So yeah, I would say like I think like in today's age, like there's a lot of much more content compared to like when I started out.
There is a lot more, yeah.
Yeah, like I remember like when I started out, there was no real like how to write malware. I was desperately searching for. So the next best thing I was able to do was just reading like source code of the C2 frameworks, especially Metapredator, or especially Metapredator. Like source code was like a huge, it was a gold mine basically, I would say. So basically just. I would say like if you want to pretend there's not a lot of content and want to do like get your hands dirty basically, I would recommend you to just like read through existing frameworks. There's a Shadow C2 from BatSec at MDSec. There's like Empire C2, Metapredator and stuff like that. Like all of these frameworks I have used as reference to teach me all of those things. And additionally, also like now you can like use Havoc on GitHub to read through it, especially like how the server and the implant communicate over like HP or like SMB and stuff like that. So like if you want to pretend there's not a lot of content, and then you can go this way, or just kind of like buy into some of these courses that already exist, such as like Maldev Academy. I think they have put a lot of like work into it, and it also was one of the co-authors of like the course as well, where like I wrote a lot of like modules regarding common techniques and stuff like that. So either you go like this,
I wasn't aware.
Yeah, so like either like you go this like dirty way of like researching on your own, like not dirty as a matter of fact. I think like more like if you want to like kind of start out like how I did it, was then just kind of read through all of the existing stuff that already exists basically, or like reverse engineer like implants. But if you prefer something more structured, then there's a lot of like courses out there, such like Maldev Academy, that have like a structured way. And I think there's like, and I think I made like a thread about this once, but then someone reported that tweet I think last week, and I had to delete it. So it's like,
well,
yeah,
so first of all, I really agree with you. I like what you said about reading existing frameworks. I remember the one that I really dug into a ton. So I remember when I wanted to really start learning, because I was always a fan of, like I said, rats and Trojans and things like that, and I understood them decently well, but I got out of the loop, and when I wanted to understand modern frameworks like Cobalt Strike and Metasploit and stuff, I remember going to people and asking like, hey, how do I figure out how to do this? And like, how do I bypass EDR? I don't even understand where to begin with that. I understand static detection, but that's it, right? And I remember I was told either to read existing frameworks like Meterpreter or Metasploit, or learn how the EDR worked.
yeah.
And I thought that was really good. And what the one framework I ended up spending a lot of time reading was by Post Request, was the name on GitHub, and the framework is called Link, and it's a C2 in Rust. And I liked it, but there was things I didn't like about it in terms of like the UI, the user interface, and how that was built. it was like a CLI and server, and like those weren't separated, like the operator interface and the server weren't. And I was like, okay, I want those separated, and I was like, maybe I'll start modifying this one. And I kind of learned at first by just reading how the implant work on that one is fantastic. I really like what he did with the implants on that. But anyway, I spent a lot of time reading it to learn. So that was how I learned as well. They didn't have really courses on it yet when I was learning that stuff either. But there's a lot now, right? So, but the other thing that you mentioned is you said you put out a thread about this on social media about, hey, here's if you want to learn about this stuff, and that it got you suspended or that post got flagged recently. And I'm glad you brought that up because I almost forgot that I wanted to ask you about this, because a bunch of InfoSec or OffSec accounts have been getting suspended on various platforms, but the big one being X or Twitter. A big one, I say, because it's been a safe haven for years for the community. That's kind of where when you were telling your story earlier about talking to Bobby Cook and starting to post your framework and people getting excited, that all happened, I think, primarily on X or on Twitter at the time, right? And now they're flagging your posts for trying to help others get started and actually suspending your account, right?
Yeah. So I think I've received a total request of like 22 reports on my account. So yeah, like
wow.
I just remember like one
recently, right?
Yeah, I think like it started last week or something like that. Well, I remember like I woke up like at 6 a.m. or something like that. Received like 2 emails like your account has been suspended. I was like, what the fuck did I do? And I see like some my newest like blog post regarding like my have a professional release and stuff like that got like removed and stuff like that. And I sent like an appeal and it got like approved. Like, hey, you have done nothing wrong. But then I kind of suspected someone was messing with
reporting
me. Yeah. So
stuff.
I think so. Now it kind of stopped, like now you haven't seen something like that in a while, I would say. I'm not sure if that's, perhaps there might be another reason. I'm not sure entirely. But I suspected there was like some sort of like bad actor kind of reporting me. And I was like suspecting someone, because then I received like 15 additional reports on a single day. And I can tell, okay, hey, they report every single tweet I ever made, basically like spanning to like 2022, stuff like that. So that's kind of insane.
Well, that's what got me, like, I don't know what's going on. I'll kind of recap for people that may not be aware. So I've seen, I've counted at least half a dozen people who are very well known in the community, have clearly been putting out content, and like they're not a threat actor, right? Like, and at least a half a dozen of these people that have sent me screenshots have talked to me about getting post flagged, about getting suspended in like the last maybe week or two. And so SmuckX is one. You're one. Unicoder, I saw. There's a bunch, right? And I remember I was getting ready to post something that I was going to release. I hadn't released anything in a long while because I'd been like kind of working on a private project, but I had something I wanted to release, and I like had the post written, and I was going to like go add a GitHub link, and I was like, oh, I want to make sure I give this person credit from like where some of the original research came from for this thing. And so I went to their GitHub to go get the link to their repo and some of their stuff. And it was like 404, this person's gone. And I was like, what? And then I went on X and I saw that they'd been suspended there. And I was like, okay, maybe I won't post this. Oh, that was Nightmare Eclipse.
Yeah.
So it kind of started, it feels like it started with Nightmare Eclipse.
No, I think as well, yeah.
Nightmare Eclipse started dropping 0 days for Windows stuff. Yeah. And there was some awesome stuff in there. It was like really good stuff. I mean, when I first saw it, I went, "Oh, what is this?" You know, somebody claiming they're dropping 0 days. Yeah, right. But I like bookmarked it, and then I saw like a couple days later, I was like, "Let me go look at that stuff and see if any of it was legit." And I start looking at it, and I'm like, "Oh, there's some amazing stuff here," you know. And I'm like, "Let me go see if I can," because I don't want to like, "Oh, I'm posting this 0 day," and then I go download it and run the code. That's not what I'm going to do. So I'm like, let me go look at the code, see if it makes sense, see if there's anything weird in here. I start looking at it and I'm like, this all seems legit, but it was in like .NET. So I was like, I don't want to do this in .NET. I want to do this in something else. So I re-implemented it and I was going to post it. And that's like the morning that Nightmare Eclipse started getting shut down everywhere. And I was like, okay, maybe I should wait to post this. And then after that, all these other people, including yourself, started getting flagged. And I wondered first if those things were related. I think all of this is related to AI fear mongering about hacking. So I think that's creating pressure now. But then the fact that these posts from like 3 years ago are getting flagged, I thought that was very odd. Because I think the idea of punishing people retroactively, that doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It's like if you passed a new law today and then you arrested me for that, but from 5 years ago when it was legal at the time, that would be messed up. Like, I think we all think that would be injustice. And so the idea that they're going to change the rules or something, or change how they enforce them, but then they're going to retroactively apply that to something you posted 3 years ago that never got flagged for all these years, that feels concerning.
Yeah, it was. This is also a reason why I kind of felt like this can't be really automated, because some of these reports I've received on tweets or like on my account were like so like this is way too vague to be like reported automatically. I don't think like an automated system would identify, okay, hey, this is malicious intent. You kind of have to report it manually.
Understand it and report it manually.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why I kind of assumed that someone was like doing it, and what made like even stronger is that like I started to receive like a report every single minute. Like every single minute, I received a new email. Hey, we reported this tweet of yours. We reported this tweet of yours, and it kept going like 4 hours, and then stopped, and then it kept on going like an hour later, stuff like that. So this was like really weird. Like the behavior didn't really align to something like being automated. So
okay,
but I also saw other people getting like reported and stuff like that. So I think like it's either like one or many people that kind of figured out how to do this, or like I'm not sure, to report.
Yeah, so you're thinking a bad actor of some kind who is purposely abusing the reporting system to get people flagged. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's happened on other platforms, of course, before, and in video games and all kinds of stuff, right? People abuse those systems to get people restricted who they have a problem with for some reason, or they think is intimidates them, or represents competition, or they're jealous, or whatever. You know, I mean, seriously, right? Like, because I can't imagine, reporting somebody. I don't know. Seems messed up. So anyway, I don't know. They're probably going to report me now because I'm talking about it, and but whatever. No, I hope it doesn't continue though. In terms of, I hope X makes adjustment, even if it is somebody attempting to abuse the reporting system. I hope X recognizes that, and we don't continue to have problems, because even though there's like structured material out there for people to learn with and stuff like that, I love having a community to interact with. I like going and seeing when somebody drops something on GitHub or drops a new blog post, and I genuinely like care about the people involved and the community. Like I would get excited if I saw Bobby Cook drop a blog post. I'm like, oh shit, Bobby Cook dropped something. Like, I gotta go check it out. Like it matters to me. And so I don't want to see, and I've already seen some of it. People have already either told me in private messaging, or they've said now on public posts that they're not going to post about certain things there anymore, or they're not going to share certain things. And I mean, it happened to me right when I saw Nightmare Eclipse get banned. Like I said, I had a post drafted. I was going to hit post. I didn't post it. That tool still is not out. You know, so I don't want to see a lot of self-censorship as a result. And I certainly don't want to see us lose what has been a very important community and safe haven for the InfoSec, you know, X or Twitter over the years. So, but that is my concern, is like it'll result in a lot of self-censorship, and I'm sure it will, because people don't want to lose their accounts. So I don't know. Hopefully, I guess if it loosens up for a long enough period of time, people will become more comfortable with sharing again. Maybe that's the solution. I know a lot of people want to quickly like run out and build some alternative. I don't know how realistic that is. And I think it just would result in us like fragmenting or fracturing even more, because then it's like, you're not going to have like, we're not going to build one alternative solution. We're going to build 50.
I think like your stream is lagging on my side.
Oh, is it?
Oh, now it's better. Okay. Perfect. Now it's working again. Okay. It was kind of weird on my end now, but it works again.
Okay. All right. No worries. Yeah. No, I was just saying, I hope that I know people want to rush out and build an alternative place to share stuff. And I think it's good to have like alternatives. But I think also we would just fracture, and because we're going to build 50 alternatives, not one.
Yeah.
So I hope it works out on X. I think it's funny. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody getting flagged on LinkedIn. Do they? Is it more strict on X these days? That seems crazy.
I'd rather like get like reported and my account suspended on LinkedIn. It was just like release me from these shackles.
Do me a favor.
Yeah,
get me kicked off LinkedIn. That's funny.
Yeah, but I think I think the second largest community is currently on Discord, or like numerous Discords, I would say. I think number one is like X, but like there's like so many people on different Discord servers, be it like only malware, 0-point security, and stuff like that. So there's like I'm basically in every single like major Discord server just to interact with people. So
yeah, I definitely think private Discords are a good other community, not even an alternative, but just extra. The private Discords are good. But yeah, hopefully though we can still post stuff on X without so much trouble, because I don't know, I've gotten so much use out of it. And I found you there. I found Bobby Cook there. I think I might have found Memnops through just like digging through GitHub. I found some people like that too, right?
Where exactly.
I've spent enough time just like digging through GitHub and finding stuff that way. And some people on there I wish I could talk to sometimes too, that I've never seen on social media. I'm like, where is this person? You know, but they have an awesome, like there's stuff on GitHub of theirs that I love. So those are always fun. But one thing I wanted to ask you about too, that I don't want to miss is, you know, you have, you've done a great job of identifying problems to solve in the space you're working in within like C2 frameworks, implant development. And that's one of the things I've really liked about your work, is that, you know, you're trying to solve these kind of underlying limitations or issues. But one thing that I have noticed during my career and working with different malware devs, or just your, you know, red team tool dev at your red team shops, is a lot of times there would be sort of this conflict between like the operators and the devs. And if people haven't worked at like a consulting shop before, the way it kind of works is you'll have like, I don't know, 25, 50 like operators. And these are the people hands on keyboard who are going to operate your implants and do your lateral movement, your Privask, and get, do the actual testing. And then you'd have like a group maybe of a handful of devs that their role is to build and maintain the tooling to support this group of people, right? And that's kind of how a lot of these organizations are set up. And I've seen a lot of times where there'd be this friction between those two groups because like the malware devs or the devs maybe weren't talking to the operators to find out what they wanted and in like new features or supported or things or fixes or supported features or whatever. They would just come up with their own ideas about what's great and build something and bring it to the team. And the team is like, a lot of times like, okay, I didn't really ask for this. And I've been asking for this other thing. Where's that at? And there could be this friction. And I saw that quite a bit. And so I wanted to ask you, like, as somebody who focuses a lot on the research and development side, I don't know if you've spent a lot of time like operating in labs or if you've ever done any red teaming or penetration testing. So how do you balance kind of, this drive to do research that makes you feel like, hey, here's this new great thing. How do you balance that with, or how do you align that with what your users may be thinking and what they may want? Is this just a matter of reaching out and getting their feedback, or kind of how have you done a good job of making sure that what you think you want to put into the implant aligns with what your users actually need and want?
So it's a very good question, honestly. So I think this is something I haven't really talked about online, especially, or like with a lot of people. But right after I kind of popped off on Twitter, I think like 17 or something, I got a job as an R&D for a red team in Canada or something like that. So I basically like it was like my first I would say position. So what I had basically I was like really like nervous and stuff like that. So I was like, hey, what exactly do you need? I will develop it for you, So I went like, yeah, we want these specific features from Mimikatz written as a beacon audio file and stuff like that. So there also I got like hands-on like experience. Okay, hey, what do these operators need? How do they function? I've never done like red team by my own hands, but I was fortunate enough to shadow some of these operators to know exactly what they want and how they're actually doing like the operation. And whenever they did, I was thinking, hey, how can I make it easy for him to perform this operation? And one thing I really like to do was writing a feature that is transparent to the operator, so they don't know it's existing, but it's helping them basically. For example, for example, I never try to do this like thing like, hey, use this instead of that, and they kind of have to like learn this new technique or like new feature. So I always try to make it as transparent as possible. So I was working on beacon object files. I was working on user-defined reflective loaders. So there I had legitimate call strike licenses to use for professional like development. So I wrote like beacon object files. I wrote like user-defined reflective loaders, and I think I released one called KindStrike on GitHub, which I was developing for this company. And so just basically using some techniques I have developed over time. And a lot of times, like mentioned before, I try to make these features as transparent as possible so that I don't have to kind of change their playbook, So, and whenever I believe I do have a better alternative compared to like existing playbook procedure, I would just kind of tell them, hey, instead of this, you can use that, what I've written for you. So I would say for people who are like R&D for a red team, they should really listen to the operator needs, because the forcing an operator to kind of use your mechanism is kind of like it's a learning curve basically, like the operator has to like learn this as well, just to kind of like utilize your capabilities. But I think a lot of times you don't really have to do this. You can simply just or at least try to make them transparent. If they already use using a feature they like, you can just kind of like hook into it and replace it with your own, and make it this in a way where like that wouldn't even notice it. For example, I think with Counter-Strike, I tried to like change the hooking mechanism, where like they were like choosing different hooking, or like using different injection mechanisms. So this is something I did use these like user defined reflective loaders and stuff like that. So I try to make it as transparent as possible without impairing like the operational like playbook of the operator basically. So for whoever is like currently an R&D for a red team, my recommendation is basically just kind of like follow the lead of the operator. But if you have like a way to make it better, or like make it like more smooth, I would say, the operation, then go for it. But don't try to force it basically, because like it's not a good idea, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I like how you're pointing out that if you force the issue, then you're asking them to do something, to learn
Exactly
how this works, and maybe they're comfortable with their current workflow, and they're not up on what you're doing now. And so I like that you want to introduce things in a way that have as little friction as possible, is what it sounds like for the operator. And I really like that. I can tell that you try to, things that you've put out have a focus on the end user, the operator. I really like that. And so, yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. It makes sense. And it makes sense where you can make upgrades without even bothering the user or the operator, that would be the way to go. Right. And I like the idea of offering them alternatives as well. So I really like what you've done, moving from Havoc to Havoc Pro. Like I said, I was looking at the matrix of comparison with other frameworks and stuff. First of all, like congrats on Havoc Pro. I think it's really cool that you took like this passion for this thing, took this project you put out for free that you gave to the community and turned it into this professional framework. What are some of the things that you've been working on or put out as new features recently in Havoc Pro that you think people would be interested in terms of like how you're evolving tradecraft?
So yeah, it's a good question. A lot of these features I'm putting out in Havoc Professional are very like I try to make them as transparent as possible to the operator, meaning that they don't have to like specify anything. And some of my customers, they have like numerous C2s. They have like either Brutal like Counter-Strike or Outflank especially, and so I'm trying to make it like as compatible with these other frameworks as possible. For example, I've written scripts, for example, that port MalBC2 over to Havoc Professional, use a script, and you can just import it, and then you have like capabilities that you previously used for Counter-Strike now in Havoc as well. And so I would say like a lot of these features are very transparent to operator, and you don't really notice it, or you don't have to do a lot of changes. Basically, it's kind of out of the box working. So, for example, one of these features I kind of like is that, I'm not sure if you know, like for example, Beacon Gate, or Beacon Gate from Counter-Strike. where I think, as far as I understand, like it performs some sleep masking or like stack spoofing, stuff like that, while it calls a certain function.
Yeah.
And what I did was kind of similar, but you don't have to specify this in the beacon object file. So for example, you can use existing tooling such as like from situational awareness or remote op beacon object files. You just kind of like import them, execute them, and
I see.
And implement automatically automatically detects them and like replaces them and like kind of hooks them and performs spoofing and stuff like that. So it's very like automated for you, and you don't have to like change anything. You don't have to configure anything. It just kind of like does a lot of heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So you can use all the existing buffs with this additional feature. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really like that.
So my main goal was like, hey, I don't want the operator to do R&D. So I know a lot of operators, they are very time constrained, and
Yeah,
doing some sort of like R&D is like you give them additional work and stuff like that,
yeah,
if it's billable or not. So it's something that I kind of wanted to avoid. Like, hey, like even like existing toolings, I try to port them via my GitHub. Like, hey, you don't have to write the scripts. Even I already wrote them for you, stuff like that. So I try to do a lot of
right.
heavy lifting for the operator. They just like download it, use it, and continue doing the operation. Don't having to worry. Okay, hey, is it OPSEC safe? Is my beacon object file running with all the OPSEC security and stuff like that? So this is something like I really care about. Basically, I want so I made sure that like, okay, hey, we might have like power users and also like have operators, just like hands-on operators. They don't have no C programming or like scripting or like anything like capable. They just like know how to operate in an environment. So this is something I've met both operators, basically an operator that is insanely good as like performing like red teaming, but does not want to touch like C, and also operators like insanely well, like they know like the in and outs of like the C2 that we're using and stuff like that. So I'm trying to like focus on both at the same time.
Yeah, I like that. There was I love Cobalt Strike as well. I used it for years. I learned a ton from it. It's
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal framework. But there did reach a point when it was like it reached this point where I wouldn't touch any of the built-in functionality. Like it was like, don't touch any of that. Don't run these like 30 built-in commands and like only use buffs, only use, this or that. And all that stuff had to be developed on top. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it was not easy
Mm-hmm.
either. Now it's gotten easier. They've
Mm-hmm.
improved a lot of it to where it's not as difficult to write the buffs and stuff anymore. But there was a point where it just felt like, okay, we're doing a ton of R&D on top of and building a ton of tooling on top of this framework that we're paying for just to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like out of the box, and it was a lot of it was because of their own success, right? And everybody started targeting Cobalt Strike, and that's kind of why that happened also. And everybody was using it, right? So it makes sense. But it was like there came a point where it was like, man, we are having to do a lot to use this tool, and I think it has improved. But I do remember thinking about that and having talks with people about it. Like, man, we're having to do tons of stuff just to use this framework at this point. So I like that approach. And I will say too, I have also met a lot of operators who are excellent
Mm-hmm.
that don't do hardly any R&D, and would prefer not to, obviously. So that definitely is true. But yeah, I really like that approach. And that's been a focus. I think that's really helpful for people.
Mm-hmm. Because I think like there are also like a lot of like other vendors. They're very like developed in they're like opinionated, like developed, there's
This
some
is the way you should do it. Yeah.
It's like they're very like opinionated, like developed. Okay, you have to use this technique, you have to use that and stuff
Yeah.
like that, which is like I'm kind of both like I want this philosophy of like malleability where you can it scales, and also like hey, like in 10 years I will not suffer from like this like 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 scalability issues that currently Cobalt faces, for example, where a lot of these techniques have to be like either like completely deprecated or like rewritten, basically. For example, like you mentioned before, in Cobalt there's a lot of like don't touch the like commands. So for example, like you treat Cobalt as a fancy big object file loader or SOX proxy, basically.
Yeah.
So that's basically the thing like I also considered, especially in the design of my own implant, where okay, hey, some of these operators they just spin up like an implant and they just only use SOX proxy. Like they don't use like anything else but SOX proxy. So I thought to myself, you know what? Like, what if I split everything into its own components, basically? So communication, file listing, process interaction, and stuff like that. All of these commands into its own components, and you kind of just select them at build time or at runtime. Basically, you can both select them at build time or runtime, and they will be built into like the implant. And I have like a small static linker that just kind of like binds them together and outputs you like a binary basically for you. So that's also how I designed my framework, where okay, hey, you just want an implant that just only does SOX proxying with a bit of like object file loading, then you can just build it. But you can also specify, hey,
I love that.
Yeah, you kind of like specify what your needs are, and it will output you the exact binary. This is like one of my goals basically was like always to have this kind of framework, because like all of these other frameworks, they were like large and they have all of these features embedded.
Yeah, monolithic.
Exactly, monolithic. Like I was never really this fan of this kind of design, because you introduce a lot of IOCs that are not necessary.
Yeah.
You introduce all of these IOCs at runtime and are either not used or like completely ignored. But the security vendor, they look for this specific thing.
Yeah, and you have to obfuscate and hide stuff that you're not even using, which is
Exactly.
You're like spending time to hide stuff that you have no intention to use.
Exactly.
Hated that.
Exactly. This is something I also bothered me with, like, for example, Cold Strike, where I was trying to either replace or completely remove certain features. And this is also something why I designed to have it in this way, like, hey, if I don't want this feature, I will not have it, basically. So, and also to kind of like switch features, replace them, and which came to be like the Kane's extension system. Now it only even allows me to completely switch features at runtime. For example, I can switch communications at runtime and protocols, even, for example, go from DNS over to HTTPS at runtime, even though the DNS extension has not been embedded into the implant. So you completely switch what you need. And you only ever use something that you will need basically at runtime. And once you're done with it, you can unload it.
Yeah, I've seen you writing a little bit about that recently, and I'm super interested in that because I recognized the desire to have that modular capability at compile time, but doing it at runtime presents some additional challenges. So I'm gonna dig into that on my own. I don't want you to spill all the tradecraft here, but I've been following what you've been saying about that, and I think it's really cool. And I'm looking forward to trying to dig into some of that stuff in my own research to figure out some of the best ways to do that. But yeah, I think that's really cool. I love how you made it modular. Only include the features that you want or need, and the idea that you can load and unload stuff at runtime based on need is even better. That's awesome. So very cool. All right. Well, tell me again. Your site is Infinity Curve, right? And this is also where people would go to find out about and get Havoc Pro, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, I think people should definitely check out Havoc on GitHub as well as Havoc Pro. like I said, go check out like the comparison matrix. Look at some of the stuff that Paul's been putting out, because he really is pushing and evolving tradecraft. And I really appreciate the work that you have done and continue to do, and the stuff that you put out. And I appreciate your interactions with the community, because you have always been somebody who's been cool and kind to people. I know that when people put stuff out, like I was actually very shy about sharing some of the tooling I put out, and especially like I put out my hobby C2 or at DEF CON a few years back, and you were just like, "Hey, this is really cool," and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness, man!"
Yeah,
Because it can, it can be very, you can be very nervous about putting stuff out there for people to check out. And I know you talked about that earlier, and you've been very cool to people in the community. And I appreciate that, because a lot of people who are as talented as you are in this space can let it go to their heads.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
It happens.
I think I think like it happens to the best of us. I think sometimes I do might be a bit like I'm not sure how to explain this, but like talk arrogantly. That happens to the best of us, but I'm trying not to be, honestly, because yeah, like all of the success like I've found was mainly due like the help I received from other people. So I'm trying to like be as helpful as other people were kindly enough to me. I'm trying to give this back to the community. I always felt like this need to do this, because yeah, like it's like circulating like influence, I would say, where like everyone is helping everyone, and only through like this kind of like circulation, everyone gets better. And I'm always looking forward to other people's work, especially like inspiration to get better at certain like area and stuff like that. Like I'm always like kind of looking at other stuff, like, hey, will this teach me about something more, or like is this something like showing me something I was not aware of? So like I'm always looking forward to this.
Yeah, I completely agree. I certainly learned through community and through people sharing and talking to me about stuff. And I agree. I want us to always have a strong community. It's why I'm very outspoken at times about like the accounts getting flagged, suspended. I'll fight with people if they don't like the idea of offensive tooling being available, or open source offensive tooling. Like I'll fight on that hill, because I think it's important. I don't think suppression is good for even defense or security in general. I think that I value people sharing offensive research, and I value the community a lot. And part of doing this podcast is trying to give back to the community as well. And so I really appreciate you coming and doing this. I think it's awesome for the community. And I'll just say again, what you've done already and what you accomplished, I think is awesome, and really lucky to have you in the community and to share with us. So I really appreciate it, Paul.
Thanks for having me here as well. I really appreciate being here as well.
Thanks, Paul. All right. Well, that'll be it. And I'll get this out.